evening. We're going to get started here. I want to introduce myself. I'm Bernard Hanmore. I'm president of French Creek Valley Railroad Historical Society. I want to welcome everyone to our launch event of the Meadville Railroad Depot. Wow, what a great turnout. We're excited. This really does a lot for all of us to see such a nice crowd out there tonight. The French Creek Valley Railroad Historical Society has been active in the community since 2005. And our mission is to collect and preserve railroad artifacts and information at destinations that will provide educational, historical, and recreational experiences for visitors, and a reference base for researchers interested in railroad heritage of Northwest Pennsylvania. We also have many model railroaders in our organization with a lot of their own layouts. So we're always interested in helping someone, lending a hand. So if any of you are interested in perhaps starting a model railroad layout, let us know, because we'll definitely help you through the process, that's for sure. It's going to be my pleasure now to introduce some special guests that are here this evening. So when your name is called, if you are here, please stand so we can recognize you. I'm going to start off. I know Michelle Brooks is not here, but I do know her aide is here, Diane Hilbig. There she is in the back right there. Thank you. Brad Roy, I believe you're here. Thank you, Brad. Thank you so much for your support. And I'm going to introduce, I'm not sure if any of our county commissioners are here, but I'm going to do, is Chris Soff here? Not here tonight, okay. How about Francis Wiederspan? Not here either, all right. And I didn't see John Amonto, so I don't think. With that, I know Leroy Stearns is here, our Meadville, Mayor of Meadville. Leroy. Thank you for your support very much. We appreciate it. I want to introduce a few people here that they're members of the Italian Civic Club. They're a special bunch for us, at least. I want to introduce John Montillo, the president. Thank you, John. I also would like to introduce Bob Grasso. Thank you. Thank you, Bob. Tracy Knowles is here. Thank you, Tracy. Dan Tino, I know you're here too. Thank you, Dan. And Mark Monaforte. Mark's not here tonight. Thank you, guys. We appreciate all the help and everything you've done for us. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. We thank you very much for that. If you would, we're going to have an answer period at the end. If you would, just kind of hold on till the end of the program, and then you can ask all the questions you want. I know these people over here will definitely be able to answer all your questions. All right. And with that, I'd like to introduce Denny Mead, Vice President of French Creek Valley Railroad Historical Society. He will be talking on the history of the station.
Good evening, everyone. Everybody hear me? Can you hear me now? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you see me now? Good evening. My name is Denny Mead, and I'm the Vice President of the French Creek Valley Railroad Historical Society and the historian for the Meadville Railway Depot. Thank you for coming tonight. The history of our station begins in July of 1880 when a small group of local businessmen organized the Meadville Railway Company. Construction began immediately, and the site was located on property bordered by Pine Street on the south end, Buttonwood Alley, which later became Bessemer Street, on the west side, the New York, Pennsylvania, and Ohio Railroad to the east side, and Torbit Alley to the north. The station was laid out to be 30 foot in width and 100 foot in length. By August of 1881, the construction of the railroad was proceeding slowly, so the Meadville Railway made a lease agreement with the Erie and Pittsburgh Railroad to complete the line, including finishing the bridge over French Creek here in Meadville. On October 3rd of 1881, the first train arrived in Meadville from Linesville. But the station was not finished, so passengers had to disembark on West Street. By October 20th, the station was fully opened and passenger trains began moving both directions daily between Meadville and Linesville. The cost was 70 cents one way, and I might add, it took 55 minutes to go from Meadville to Linesville. Think of that today when you're driving. But by February of 1884, the railroad was experiencing financial difficulty, so it was sold and reorganized as the Meadville and Linesville Railroad. The Erie and Pittsburgh immediately gave up their operating lease and embargoed the interchange connection at Linesville. But in June of 1885, a connection was then placed between the New York, Pennsylvania, and Ohio Railroad and the Meadville and Linesville near the station. By 1888, the railroad was operating 4 passenger trains each way from the station and doing a brisk freight business as well. But the revenues were not enough, so they found themselves reorganizing once again in June of 1881, becoming the Meadville, Conneaut Lake, and Linesville Railroad Company. 9 days after reorganization, the railroad was leased to the new Pittsburgh, Shenango, and Lake Erie Railroad, which later became the Bessemer and Lake Erie. By 1896, the Bessemer was really busy at the station, both in freight and passenger traffic, busy enough that they considered in 1906 building a new brick station to the north of the existing station facing Mead Avenue. They never followed through with the proposal, but instead added the following year an 11 by 15 foot addition on the southwest corner of the existing station, plus an additional 50 foot length to the north end, bringing it to the building footprint that survives today. Although freight was the mainstay of the business, passenger service was declining, so the Bessemer took action. And on January 17th, 1935, they ran the last passenger train from the station. As the 1960s came upon us, less than carload freight business was disappearing, so the railroad agreed to lease the station to O.S. Brock, who in turn made it into a commercial structure by renting it to John Hubert Milling Company. That business was followed in 1969 by Maddox 5, who opened Meadville Farm and Garden. The Maddox ran a successful business at the former station for 49 years before closing its doors on February 24th, 2018. The French Creek Valley Railroad Historical Society wasted no time placing a bid for this historical structure, and on December 29th, 2018, purchased the station from the Maddox family. Now we will begin to return the station back to its historical railroad past, and open it for all people to discover the history of the railroad industry that built Meadville. For additional information on the history of the station, as well as following up on the progress of our work at the site, please check out our website, meadvillerailroaddepot.com. Now I'd like to introduce to you John Nagurney, who will be speaking about the interior of the station. Now, John is a very special person to us because he was very instrumental in obtaining the station for us, working with the Maddox people, and thanks to him, we have what we have today. John?
Thank you, Denny. You embarrass me. As Denny said, my name is John Nagurney. I love trains. I love my O-gauge electric trains. I love watching trains. I love riding trains. And I love railroad history and historical railroad places. In my spare time, I practice law. That's how I got involved in this project. Denny is obviously a living history book when it comes to the railroad history in Meadville. And he has spent many hours preparing his preparation this evening. His expertise on Meadville's history is actually very appropriate because the community is named after one of his ancestors. Denny's presentation ended with the Maddox family acquiring the Bessemer Depot. During its railroad service, that building was never a particularly fancy place with ticket windows and decorative waiting areas. Rather, it was principally a place which handled freight and early on accommodated passenger service. The depot has survived the decline of railroad service to Meadville and the eventual abandonment by the Bessemer of its Meadville branch line and its station. For the last 50 years, it's been a farm and garden store. Once again, it's been a survivor of at least one fire, the decline of the family farm, the advent of the big box stores selling most everything, including farm and garden supplies. Most regrettably, Meadville Farm and Garden, which was a family-owned business, closed the stores in 1918. The silver lining is that the organization was able to acquire the Meadville Depot, assuring that it wasn't a victim of decline, arson, or being raised to create a parking lot. I personally want to thank the Maddox family for their behind-the-scenes assistance in our acquisition of this building. Over nearly 5 decades, while its exterior appearance clearly memorializes the depot's railroad heritage, the interior had been transformed into a family-operated farm and garden supply store, as is evident from the picture being projected on the screen right now. Upon acquiring the building, in our hearts, we truly believed in the adage, if we build it, they will come. I must admit that there were fearful buyer's remorse as we said that to ourselves. Oh Lord, what have we done? How are we going to pull this off now? What we did was to acquire probably the last remaining vestige of the Bessemer Railroad's Meadville line. We have acquired one, if not the only, surviving vestige of the 19th century railroading history of Meadville. What we've done since then is to undertake the initial steps of a major historically oriented restoration. It won't be exactly the way it was, but it will be wonderful. We have removed many walls and several layers of floor which had been added over the last 50 years. We have undertaken a general cleanup, which still continues after several months and numerous filled dumpsters. Windows dating back to the original building built in 1881 once again allow sunlight to illuminate parts of the depot. They were deeply buried in walls and shelves. You can see that the glass is actually melted towards the bottom of the window, which clearly shows its age. Wainscot walls, which were installed more than a century ago, have reappeared. Papers stick together. All of this demolition and cleanup was necessary as a first step to allow the restoration to begin. A whole lot has been done, but we've barely started our quest to restore this historic railroad building, which was erected nearly 140 years ago, thereby fulfilling 2 of French Creek Valley Railway Historical's own dreams. Dream 1, we finally have our own home and have somewhere to store our display historical railroad items and memorabilia. And secondly, to actively pursue our second dream, to restore this building. If we restore it, the community will come, and in posterity, it'll be saved to Meadville's history. I regard myself as very lucky. I've had the unique pleasure to use my professional skills to save for posterity a significant piece of Meadville's history. Later on, our organization's president, Bernie Hanmore, will explain much more about the planned restoration. Next up is Ed Cronin, who will tell you some other of our projects, but I would like to go off topic for a second. I'd like to recognize Mary Ann Martin, who has already spoken to you. Mary Ann had a much unheralded task of planning, coordinating, and otherwise making sure this launch event happened. I think it's safe to say that we've all had moments when we just wish she'd go away. However, I also believe that I can collectively say for the whole organization, thank you, Mary Ann. We really do appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
The outdoor display area along French Creek Parkway was developed with local funds and grants that totaled about $52,000. It contains a locomotive, a boxcar, a caboose, and most recently a snowplow. It was developed through the hard work of our volunteers who you see in these pictures working on various pieces and parts of the equipment that are located in Pomona Park. We are fortunate to have our own volunteer construction crew who are working on the Meadville Railroad Depot to restore it. One example of our work is with locomotive number 518 that had to be moved to our outdoor display site from Jefferson, Ohio. It required disassembling the locomotive, removing the diesel engine and generator, sandblasting the parts, and repainting the locomotive in the paint scheme when it was brand new in 1948. The other rolling stock required similar efforts. Our guys have been working at the site every week, weather permitting, since 2007. We are a dedicated and hard-working group of railroad enthusiasts who will work just as hard to complete the Meadville Railroad Depot. Next slide. We started the Meadville Model Railroad Club last fall to bring young people into our projects. The railroads were so important here, but little is available to teach local history about the railroads. Our young people, several are here this evening, have been meeting through the school year in rented space, but soon we will have a new home for them at the depot. We will also involve the Crawford County Career and Technical Center, as we did in the project up in Cambridge Springs, the Cambridge Springs trolley station. What we have found is that students not only learn hands-on skills, but they also learn about appreciation of local history and develop a sense of project ownership. I'd now like to introduce one of our members, board members, and general members, Nick Ozerak. Nick, would you stand up, please? Nick is an employee of Accutech and spent a lot of time creating the video, which you will see in a few minutes. He is the lead instructor for the Model Railroad Club, has generated all the funds donated to the Model Railroad Club, so it is completely self-sufficient, separated from French Creek Valley Railroad Historical Society. If you know teens, either male or female, who might be interested in this program, please see Nick before you leave this evening. Thanks, Nick. Our next speaker is Dan Hyam, currently the president of the Northwestern Pennsylvania Heritage Partnership. Dan was the driving force that allowed the Heritage Partnership to complete the renovation of the Cambridge Springs trolley station.
Thank you, Ed. In 2008, the Cambridge Springs trolley station was left to the region by a gentleman by the name of Melvin Townley. Melvin's only wish was that it be turned into a museum for everyone to enjoy. At that time, its future was trusted to the local historical society. However, after 3 years of interior work, mostly removing numerous storage items, removing excessive monoplaster, scraping and peeling old woodwork, and removing cobbled wiring, the Historical Society felt that it really did not fit with their future plans and decided to abandon the project. Seeing it sitting empty and in peril of being purchased by an outside entity, and with the intention of turning it into a private establishment, the Heritage Partnership, which includes all the individuals that you are meeting here this evening, approached the Historical Society, and through a series of events were able to attain ownership. Knowing it had to be saved and knowing that no one else was going to do it, we stepped forward. And in 2017, finally completed the work necessary to bring it to fruition. Built as a trolley station in 1910, it served as such until the trolley's final run the evening of September 30th, 1928. Converted to a gas station in 1929, it served as such until 1964. For the following 45 years, it was used strictly as an unheated storage space by the local Townley family. Our first order of business was to have a geological study done of the property, and among other concerns, we found and removed 9 buried tanks left by the gas station people. Working with the local environmental contractor, we were able to have the tanks removed and replaced all the surrounding contaminated soil. We are happy to say that we were able to receive a residential clean document for the property from the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. Today, we are proud to state that it has survived as the last trolley station which has not either been raised or converted to a commercial or private entity between Cleveland, Buffalo, and Pittsburgh. Currently, we're open Saturday afternoons through the summer months. We give private tours as requested. We also allow it to be used for a number of private events, which includes reunions and parties of all kinds, Christmas, birthday, whatever, including wedding and baby showers. And we have actually had 2 weddings performed there. It is used regularly monthly meetings by the Cambridge Springs Kiwanians in the Lake Erie chapter of the National Railroad Modelers Association. It is a desired place for tours by local schools, including one this very morning and another tomorrow morning. Mainly through the efforts of talented grant writer Mary Ann Martin, we had the benefit of a great number of grants which have allowed us to completely insulate the facility, refinish the floors in the front room, pour new concrete floors in the back room and basement, new concrete drives and sidewalks, the front patio, and a number of other necessary projects. Previous to completing the outside concrete work, we had to break up and remove over 100,000 pounds of old concrete. We have also received numerous private donations to cover the seemingly unlimited materials necessary to complete the renovation. As in all these types of projects, there have been seemingly countless volunteer hours. But a true labor of love, and we know that somewhere there's a smile on Mr. Townley's face. Maybe our proudest story comes from the Crawford County Career Technical Center, their electrical program. The school's electrical instructor, Rod Frazier, when approached, immediately saw a golden possibility, not only to allow his students the opportunity to have real-time experience, but to also make a true contribution to the community. The students, after school and always under Rod's supervision, over a number of school years, completely rewired the building, including installation of a new 220 amp service, a new 110 amp service to accommodate the new furnace and air conditioning units. Students were required to put in a minimum of 9 hours to complete their senior project. Actually, many of them put in far, far more hours. Several students actually exceeded the 100-hour mark. When we brought in a local inspector to approve the electrical work, he stated that it was absolutely first class. I know Rod's here somewhere tonight. Rod, I know you hate to be recognized under anything, but would you please stand? It was amazing the respect those students had for Rod, and vice versa too. He was the same with them. Finally, just let me say that we look upon the trolley station as not belonging to us, but truly belonging to the great people of Cambridge Springs and the surrounding area. We are simply here in a window of time, and we are proud to say that we were able to do this restoration, saving it not only for this generation, but for many generations to come. Obviously, I could go on, which is always a danger when I'm asked to step in front of a microphone and talk about the King of Springs Trolley Station. But I will leave it there for anyone who may have questions later. Thank you very much. I'll turn you back to Bernie Hanmore, who's going to talk about the future restoration of the Meadville Railroad Depot.
Thank you, Dan. Up on a screen, you see our proposed drawing of the floor plans. Now, the building itself is 30 feet by 150 feet, or 4,500 square feet. Phase 1 is from the green dotted line to the entrance of the building on the left-hand side. The square footage of Phase 1 is around 2,900 square feet. So it's quite a project, for sure. But we're looking forward to it, that's for sure. Just a couple areas. We've got a little storage area right there. That's where we'll be storing, items when we're not using, things like that. Also, right in here is a workshop. It'll be used for the many projects in remodeling our building and restoring artifacts and building exhibits. So that'll be a heavily used area there, I'm sure of that. Also right in here, I want to show, this is the actual exhibit area, right in there. And that area will be filled with a number of display cases of railroad artifacts and other items related to the area. We have a little sales area right here. Of course, that's for selling of our merchandise. We sell t-shirts, sweatshirts, we sell calendars, and a lot of other items as well. So, you'll be able to get anything you want right there, that's for sure. And also, there will be a register book for you to sign. And if you have any questions to volunteer to go on, I know we'll definitely help you. So we want to try to serve the community as best we can. We want you to enjoy your experience when you come here in the future. It's going to take a while to get it completed, but we're going to work on it, that's for sure. It'll take a little bit of time. We got the right guys and the right crew, that's for sure. That'll help. I want to also, right back in there, that is going to be our research area and library. This area will house our many historical documents. Right now, at this time, we have documents all over the city of Meadville. And we're finally going to have a home to put them all in and be able to enjoy them. So we're looking forward to that. There will also be a little kitchenette in there, and that's just basically going to be for, preparing light refreshments. Also, we have, right in this area, of course, which is very important to a lot of people that visit different establishments, it's the public men's and women's handicap accessible bathroom. We want to make sure you're happy when you're there, for sure. I'm going to talk a little bit about the interior finishes of the exhibit area. There will be some hardwood flooring. That's what we've got in mind. A 3-foot beadboard up the wall with chair railing. And above the chair railing, it will be either painted drywall or painted plaster finishes. We just haven't quite decided which way we want to go yet. But also there will be a drop-in or acoustical ceiling. And the drop-in have tin panels. Many of the turn-of-the-century depots have this style of interior, so we wanted to keep it to the time period as much as we could. And I think you guys will enjoy it when it's all done. I know we will, when it's all done. That's a long down the road for sure, but we'll get there. I want a little bit about the outside of the building too. There will be a handicap accessible parking area, also a handicap ramp that will lead to the main entrance. We want to make sure everybody is able to come and visit us, no matter what. Also, we will be doing some landscaping. We're thinking in the future we'd like to put a gazebo, maybe a picnic area. We want the community to enjoy this as much as we do. Just like this project is about you guys. It's for all of us, the community, not just French Creek. And we hope that you use it. We're hoping that maybe some organizations will put a car show there, maybe have little mini concerts or whatever, but we want to be a community center. We want a place where the community comes together and enjoys themselves. With that, I'd like to introduce Mary Ann Martin.
All aboard! All aboard for the Meadville Railroad Depot excursion train. Does that sound like fun? Well, we won't have excursion trains to start, but our friend Ed Cronin says it's going to happen eventually, and I believe him. I remember many years ago when Ed called several of us together and said to us, "Will you help me to develop a railroad museum in Meadville?" We spent many years looking far and wide at different sites and different buildings, none of which worked for us. And most of us had given up the idea. But Ed never gave up. And when the Meadville Farm and Garden building became available, he told us, "This is an 1800s railroad building, the last one in Meadville that hasn't been raised or restored for commercial or business use. We have to save it. And it's the right size and in the right location along Pennsylvania's historic Route 6 and near our railroad display." So we purchased it, and here we are today, saving it and preserving it and getting ready to restore it to its 1881 appearance and turn it into a railroad museum and community center. So on the screen, you see things that the museum will have, some sooner and some later. Railroad artifacts and exhibits, videos of local railroaders telling their stories about railroading, and we already have a library started. The Model Railroad Club for youth ages 11 to 18, and it's already active. Various layouts of model railroads, science and technology, a special purpose room for presentations, movies, and programs. A Railroader's Wall of Honor. This is a means for you and your family members to personalize a lasting tribute to the men and women of railroading. A railroader will become a permanent part of the Railroader's Wall of Honor inside the museum. I have an enlarged plaque on which I've used my husband as an example to show you what this might look like. It contains his name, his occupation, the railroads that he worked for, and his years of service. And this is something that we plan to have in the museum. If you know of railroaders or knew of railroaders who might be part of this, we ask you to please let us know and make sure we have their names. A donor's wall will also be in the museum where we will permanently acknowledge our donors. The next slide, the restoration of this building and property. Thank you. The restoration of this building and property is a huge project, and it will take several years for us to complete the restoration. We chose this as our first project for two reasons. First of all, because we can complete it in small segments as the money becomes available. And secondly, because when we get the Phase 1 project done, the museum will have all of the amenities needed for us to open it to the public, for railroad programs and events, to hold meetings for our Model Railroad Club, which now meets in rented space, to showcase our railroad artifacts and railroad models, to have a home for the French Creek Valley Railroad Historical Society, to offer meeting space and event space on a small scale to the public. The completed area will include a reception area, a kitchenette, a retail store, a research area with an office and meeting room, 2 bathrooms, and a workshop. Our goal is to have Phase 1 done by June 30th, 2020. We will be doing 90% of the work with our own volunteer crew, and they will be doing all of the labor. That means that most of the cash for this project will be used for materials only. The cost of the materials for Phase 1 totals about $47,000, and there will be an additional insulation contract. The Phase 1 project completes about 2,900 square feet of the 4,500 total square feet of space in the building. We believe our Phase 1 project, we believe our Phase 2 project will be to replace the roof. That is a $50,000 project that will be contracted out, and we will need the money up front for that project. Donations and grants received during 2019 will help us to complete Phase 1 restoration. We have submitted several grant applications and will be packaging more. Donations are steadily coming in too. We have currently received $11,445 toward the Phase 1 project. We greatly appreciate all of your donations and want you to know that there are also naming opportunities available as well. Please speak to any of us if you're interested in a naming opportunity. Well, let's look at this screen. We envision that visitors to the museum will have a vast array of artifacts, like those pictured on the screen. For a start, we already have a large steam engine bell, that has been donated by Carol Barnard, whose husband was a locomotive engineer. It is similar to the steam engine bell that you see on the upper left-hand corner of the screen, but it is larger. It will be a centerpiece of our collection. I want to share one artifact that we will have in our collection, or that we hope to have. This is what is known as a presentation lantern. And this lantern was exquisitely made out of solid brass, polished, and also was made of nickel plating over brass. And they were presented to railroaders when they retired in the 1800s and the early 1900s. Can you see it? The very most exquisite of these lanterns had grapes and wreaths and the railroader's name etched onto the globe, and those are very valuable today. There may be people here tonight who had family members who were recipients of these lanterns. I want to point out that there is an information table over to my right along the wall, and if there are any things that interest you, please feel free to take anything off of that table to take home with you. Once again, I would like to invite Bernie Hanmore up to the podium.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Now, at this time, we're going to show a short video.
How do you connect with a building? Some of your experiences can be shared through photos or books, but your connection deepens once you stand inside and appreciate the history of a structure, its texture, its resilience, and its significance to past generations. As pieces of our past vanish, it is worth the effort to hold on to those that remain. Who we were then is woven into the fabric of who we are now. Now, what if that building were the last train station remaining in Meadville? A reminder of how our commercial and industrial past built our city, and along with it, our country. What started life as a simple freight station has now become an opportunity for us to reconnect with our heritage. And that's why we are combining forces to preserve it. So what connections can we forge once we've restored Meadville Depot? It's up to you to help us find out.
We'd like to thank Nick. Nick did that. Very nice. And that's about our story, too. That's just a wonderful video that explains a lot of things and a lot of rich railroad history that was in Meadville. And it's, it's hard to believe that the reason we have manufacturers ever came to this town is because of the railroads. They brought them here, and we're glad they did, that's for sure. Up on the screen, you will see a rendition of the depot as to what it might look like when it's completed. Also, on the easel, there's some easels right here. There are two renditions. And at this time, we're debating which one we like the most, and that's what will happen. And we have a dark red one, and we just kind of have that, one that's up on the screen. So maybe you could help us out, decide which one we might want. We kind of have an idea which one we want. Yes. So I just want to thank everyone for coming tonight. I hope this presentation has made you as excited about this project as we are. On behalf of the steering committee, the members of French Creek Valley Railroad Historical Society, I want to thank the Italian Civic Club for all your help. When we started this, we actually bought the depot, what we'll call Farm and Garden then. We wanted to have some type of a launch event into the community. We thought about it. The steering committee got together. We had a good idea. And we got a phone call, and from the first phone call we got, Bob Grassel. He called us and said, I want to be part of this. I want to be part of this project. The ICC wants to be a part of this project. And we'd like you to even do your launch in our building. And thank you, because we did. Beautiful job. There's a lot of people that don't get recognized sometimes, but I'm going to recognize them tonight. Without their hard work and dedication, we wouldn't be able to complete this project or any project we've done in the past. So I want all the members of French Creek Valley Railroad Historical Society stand up. These are the ones that work behind the scenes. Don't ever get any recognition. And they don't even ask for any either, but I want to recognize them today because they do so much for French Creek Valley. And we can't thank enough. Each and every one of you, thank you so much for what you do. Before we get into the question and answering, we have a little something else we've got here tonight. With John Martello and Bob Grasso. Please come up front. Thank you so much. On behalf of French Creek Valley Railroad Historical Society, we want to present you with this enlarged picture. Majority of the names on here are Italians because so many of them worked in the railroad yards that had a lot to do with the railroad. We wanted to do something special for you guys because you deserve it. So there.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. He wanted to thank us. I said, there's no way. After all you've done for us, we thank you. I believe that is about the end of it for tonight. We've come almost close to the end. I saw one of our county commissioners come in. Chris, did you come in? Okay. Chris Soft, right back there. Thanks, Chris. Thank you. I know you for helping out. So with that, we're going to go to our question. If you would please speak up, because we might not be able to hear you. We'll try to repeat the questions if we could hear it. But shoot. Yes, sir.
I have a couple questions. First of all, my name is Dave Chuck Bornstein. I hired out of Erie May 29, 1964, and retired May 30th, 2007, 43 years. I worked for the Erie until 77, I believe Conrail took over. And then I worked for the Conrail until 1999, and then I had to make the choice. He either worked for the CSX or the Norfolk Southern, and I was working from Buffalo to Toledo at that time. So I elected to stay with the CSX because they knew how to run trains and they liked to get over the road. So I guess my question is, I have some memorabilia and that I would like to donate. Who do I see about that?
Any one of us sitting here. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Do you want only Erie Lackawanna? Or you want Conrail?
Yes. Yes, we will take other. Yes. That's all railroad related. The railroad. It's all about the railroad.
Anything to serve us?
Not one particular railroad. Okay.
Well, most of us that are still alive work for the Erie, Conrail, and then Norfolk or the CSX. We were Cleveland, Buffalo. I worked out of Cleveland, Buffalo, Ashtabula, Meadville when I could, when my boy was playing football here. I tried to get back so I could see the football. But most of us have been all over the place and worked with different companies, so we have a little bit of everything.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Yeah. That'll be something that we're going to fill our exhibit area with. A lot of the things that we get, the artifacts and stuff. You know, hey, while you're talking, like to be a member? Anyone in here who can be a member, we've got some registrations over there. We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you on our workforce. We really would. Any other questions? Yes, you first.
My husband worked for the railroad for 22 years, and my grandfather was a foreman on it years ago, and then was moved to Cornell. Does anybody remember the train coming into Plant Lake Park and ran them off for the reunion that was in the hotel complex?
Yes, I do.
Yes, the Erie Railroad had their employees picnic there. And they brought people from both the east and the west end of the railroads to Meadville and then out the Bessemer branch to Project Lake Park. The Bessemer picnic, the Erie and the Westinghouse picnic out of Sharon were the three big picnics at Project Lake Park over the years.
Yes.
Well, I'm originally from Oil City, Venango County. We used to have the Erie Lackawanna Railroad, and the Erie come down into Oil City. I'm from down in that area, on Riverside Drive, on the north side of Star Road. I was born and raised in Oil City. May 18, 1965. This is my birthday. My dad, they all worked on joint manufacturing down there, and we used to have the railroad. Guys, my dad used to work at Pennzoil with my Uncle Bud. All the railroad cars would come way up into Rouseville for Pennzoil. God bless them, they're both gone.
Most of us that ran west out of Meadville worked those jobs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Most everybody in here
my
that
brother.
ran west worked those jobs.
That's what I'm saying. My dad and my Uncle Bud, they both dug ditches for a living down there in Pennzoil. And Quaker State was down there. When I was a kid. So,
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Yes.
thank you, everybody.
Yeah, my name's Charlie Zillhaber, and Chubb and I worked together on New York Central, NYP, New York Central. And I was Chubb's engineer for how many years, Chubb?
No, a long time.
Long time, maybe 15 years. And same deal, I'll see Ed about this one too. I'll see Ed about this also. I have an original key from the NYP&O. They come through Meadville. And I'm going to donate that. When you get all set for a display, I'm going to give that. I've been offered quite a bit of money for that key, but I won't sell it. I'd like to give it away, And I have a whole coat of railroad paraphernalia in my barns, all reserved. It's like 19 orders, all that kind of stuff that railroads would, understand. Just, like I said, I've got quite a bit of stuff to donate. I've got pencils that Carol, remember we had in the thing? I got a whole bunch of them, a whole bunch of Erie stuff. Erie locks, Erie keys, Erie Lackawanna keys, Erie keys. I got New York Central keys too. But
For sure. Anyone else? Yes.
I bet you I'm the only woman here that worked on the railroad. I worked in the office at the railroad from 1966. I got laid off in '89. It was Erie, Lackawanna, and Conroe. So I do have a few things myself. I have some silver iced teaspoons from the passenger train through the Erie Railroad. I have some stuff from the Santa Fe because my dad worked on the railroad also, and he had some things from that. So I do have a few things myself.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay, so the other one back here. Yes. Yeah, we have a book. When we work, our volunteers have to sign a book, time when they can in and out, so. We do a lot of stuff on Facebook. Yeah, we put a lot of our stuff on. If you look up on Facebook, we have a lot of it. Yeah. Yep. Very good. Anyone else?
Thank you, Bernie.
No one else? Hey, you don't? Well, one more. Well, I'm getting my exercise, aren't I?
I've got some stuff to do. My granddad and his four brothers all retired from the Erie. My granddad worked in the shop. His brother, my brother John, worked on the yard. Colin was an engineer, and Jim was a conductor. He lost an arm. And I have a picture from the Tribune of all of them. I believe all of them here when they retired. I'll have that.
We appreciate it. Thank everybody that was willing to donate. We'll make sure that it gets displayed, and we probably will also have a little plaque that goes with anything that you give us. We'll make sure your name's on it, so we know where it came from. We'll give you definitely. One other one.
Just a quick thing, my name's Nick, and as introduced earlier, I'm a board member of the French Creek Valley Railroad Historical Society, though some of them refer to me as the young whippersnapper. But I want to give two shout-outs, one to the steering committee here, because some of these people are French Creek Valley board members, some of them are not, but I think it's a good example of having multiple organizations collaborate to make something like this happen. So these guys and gals up here deserve a round of applause for their hard work. The other thing that I want to give, the other two people who are in the room that I want to give a shout out to, as you saw, we have the Meadville Model Railroad Club, and really appreciate the community support for that. But we actually have two of the students here, Adam and Jacob, if you want to stand up.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that. Anyone else? I just want to thank all of you for coming tonight. We did not expect this crowd. We did not. We were happy if we got 50 people. We almost got 200, so that just shows that the community is on board with this project. And we appreciate every one of you. And with that, we're pretty well done. You can stick around, have a good time. We got a while yet, so if you want to talk to any of us, then go around. Thank you very much.